Hello and good night. Welcome to another bedtime story. This story is meant to help you sleep or to relax your mind. Try and find a comfortable place, such as your bed or a soft chair. If you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes now and try and let go of the day as we begin our tale. Tonight's story is Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who was loved by everyone who looked at her, but most of all by her grandmother, and there was nothing that she would not have done for the child. Once, she gave her a little cap of red velvet, which suited her so well that she would never wear anything else. So, she was always called Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother said to her, "Come, Little Red Riding Hood, here is a piece of cake and a bottle of wine. Take them to your grandmother, for she is ill and weak, and they will do her good. Set out before it gets hot, and when you are going, walk nicely and quietly, and do not go off the path, or you may fall and break the bottle, and then your grandmother will get nothing. And when you go into her room, don't forget to say, 'Good morning.' And don't go looking around everywhere in the house, for that is rude." "I will take great care," promised Little Red Riding Hood to her mother. The grandmother lived out in the wood, a far distance from the village, and just as Little Red Riding Hood entered the wood, she met a wolf. Little Red Riding Hood didn't know what a wicked creature he was, and was not at all afraid of him. "Good day, Little Red Riding Hood," he said. "Thank you kindly, Wolf. Where are you off to, Little Red Riding Hood?" "To my grandmother's." "What have you got in your apron?" "Cake and wine. Yesterday was baking day, so poor sick grandmother is to have something good to make her stronger." "Where does your grandmother live, Little Red Riding Hood?" "A far distance into the wood. Her house stands under the 3 large oak trees, and the nut trees are just below." "You surely must know," replied Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf thought to himself, "What a tender young creature! What a nice plump mouthful! She will be better to eat than the old woman. I must act craftily so I can catch them both." So he walked for a short time by the side of Little Red Riding Hood, and then he said, "Do you see how pretty the flowers are over there? Why don't you have a look around? I also don't think you hear how sweetly the little birds are singing. You walk gravely along as if you were going to school, while everything else out here in the wood is so merrily." Little Red Riding Hood raised her eyes, and when she saw the sunbeams dancing here and there through the trees, and pretty flowers growing everywhere, she thought, "I should take some pretty flowers to grandmother. That would make her happy. It is so early in the day that I will get there in good time." And so she ran from the path into the wood to look for flowers. And whenever she had picked one, she thought that she saw a prettier one still further on, and ran after it. And so she got deeper and deeper into the wood. Meanwhile, the wolf ran straight to the grandmother's house and knocked at the door. "Who is there?" "Little Red Riding Hood," replied the wolf, "I am bringing cake and wine. Open the door." "Lift the latch," called out the grandmother. "I am too weak and cannot get up." The wolf lifted the latch, and the door sprang open. And without saying a word, he went straight to the grandmother's bed and devoured her. Then he put on her clothes, dressed himself in her cap, laid himself in bed, and drew the curtains. Little Red Riding Hood, however, had been running around picking flowers, and when she had gathered so many that she could carry no more, she remembered her grandmother and set out on the way to her. She was surprised to find the cottage door standing open, and when she went into the room, she had such a strange feeling that she said to herself, "Oh dear, how uneasy do I feel today? Normally, I like being with my grandmother so much." Then she called out, "Good morning," but received no answer. So she went to the bed and drew back the curtains. There lay her grandmother, with her cap pulled far over her face and looking very strange. "Oh, grandmother," she said, "what big ears you have." "The better to hear you with, my child," was the reply. "But grandmother, what big eyes you have," she said. "The better to see you with, my dear." "But grandmother, what large hands you have." "The better to hug you with." "Oh, but grandmother, what a terrible big mouth you have." "The better to eat you with." And as soon as the wolf had said this, he jumped out of bed and swallowed up Little Red Riding Hood. When the wolf had appeased his appetite, he lay down again in the bed, fell asleep, and began to snore very loudly. The huntsman was just passing the house when he thought to himself how loud the old woman was snoring. "I must see if she needs anything," he thought. So he went into the room, and when he came to the bed, he saw that the wolf was lying in it. "At last I have found you, evil wolf," he said. "I have been looking for you for a long time." Then, just as he was going to fire his rifle at the wolf, it occurred to him that the wolf might have devoured the grandmother and that she might still be saved, so he didn't fire. Instead, he took a pair of scissors and began to cut open the stomach of the sleeping wolf. When he had made 2 snips, he saw the Little Red Riding Hood shining, and then he made 2 snips more, and the little girl sprang out, crying, "Oh, how scared I have been! It was so dark inside the wolf." And after that, the old grandmother came out alive as well. Little Red Riding Hood quickly ran outside and collected big stones with which they filled the wolf's belly. And when he woke up and saw the huntsman still pointing his rifle at him, he wanted to run away, but the stones were so heavy that he collapsed and fell dead to the floor. The 3 of them were delighted at this. The huntsman took the wolf's pelt and went home with it. The grandmother ate the cake and drank the wine which Little Red Riding Hood had brought with her and started feeling better. But Little Red Riding Hood thought to herself, "As long as I live, I will never by myself leave the path again to run into the wood whenever my mother has forbidden me to do so." And Little Red Riding Hood went joyously home that evening, and no one ever did anything to harm her again. The end. Thank you for listening to this bedtime story. I hope you enjoyed the tale tonight. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more audiobooks and tales to come. Until next time.